The sacred work of becoming, how your story transforms into your strategy. Have you ever felt like you're carrying the weight of generations on your shoulders? That somehow, in the quiet moments between your morning coffee and evening exhaustion, you're supposed to be healing not just yourself, but everyone who came before you. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Thytira Benjamin, a visionary whose work in holistic healing and entrepreneurship has transformed countless lives. Her ability to guide women, particularly Black women, through the wilderness of self doubt into the promised land of purpose isn't just remarkable, it's revolutionary. Thytira doesn't just talk about healing, she embodies it. Her presence alone creates sacred space where transformation isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Our conversation left me profoundly moved by her wisdom about how we turn our deepest wounds into our greatest sources of power. Thytira's insights aren't just inspirational platitudes. They're a roadmap for those of us navigating spaces never designed with us in mind. What struck me most about Thytira's philosophy is how she reframes struggle not as something to overcome, but as something to integrate. Your story, every layer of it is your strategy and your strength, she emphasized. Those words have been echoing in my mind ever since. Think about that for a moment. The very chapters of your life you've been trying to edit out, they might actually be the paragraphs that give your story its power. We live in a culture obsessed with highlight reels. Social media has us believing that success looks like a straight line upward with no messy detours or painful setbacks. But that's never been the reality for most of us, has it? Especially not for Black women. When Markeisha Williams launched her platform, she wasn't just creating content, she was responding to a void she felt personally. As featured on the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast, Markeisha's journey illuminates exactly what Thytira means about embracing your full story, facing barriers that many Black women entrepreneurs encounter, limited access to capital, scarce mentorship, networks not designed with her in mind. Markeisha didn't wait for perfect conditions. Instead, she leveraged storytelling platforms like podcasts for visibility and built safe spaces where vulnerability could exist alongside ambition. She created what she needed but couldn't find, a supportive network rooted in authenticity rather than assimilation. What's remarkable isn't just that she succeeded, it's how she succeeded. By refusing to separate her professional aspirations from her lived experiences as a Black woman, she created something authentic that resonated deeply with hundreds of others, balancing legacy building ambitions with everyday realities. I had to stop apologizing for bringing my whole self to the table, Markeisha shared. The very things I thought made me less marketable. My background, my perspective, my voice became my competitive advantage. This is what Thytira means when she talks about your story becoming your strategy. The parts of yourself you've been taught to minimize might actually be your greatest differentiator in a world of sameness. But let's be honest, this isn't easy work. Embracing your story means confronting it first. And that's where many of us get stuck. Thyatira's second insight cuts straight to the heart. Healing is not just physical, it's spiritual, emotional, and generational. Breaking cycles means choosing yourself, prioritizing peace over chaos, and understanding that true wellness is sacred work that touches every part of who you are. I love that phrase, sacred work, because that's exactly what it is when we decide to stop carrying patterns that were never ours to begin with. Consider Ashley Sims' powerful work with Build in Tulsa. Her leadership showcases what happens when we reclaim generational narratives while creating tangible economic opportunities for Black entrepreneurs. Navigating the historical trauma of Tulsa's Black Wall Street destruction, Ashley didn't just acknowledge the past, She transformed it into fuel for the future by building a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem offering over 10,000 hours of training and coaching, facilitating more than $10.5 million in investments, and fostering community collaboration across hundreds of business owners. Ashley demonstrated that healing from historical injustice can be integrated into economic development work. What began as a response to tragedy has grown into supporting over 400 entrepreneurs within just 2 years, increasing visibility and funding pipelines for businesses historically excluded from such resources. Ashley's approach embodies exactly what Thytira means about generational healing through intentional action, showing how choosing peace and purpose creates ripple effects far beyond one individual life. We're not just building businesses, Ashley has said. We're rebuilding belief systems that were systematically destroyed. This is the essence of what Thyatira means by healing being spiritual and generational. When we heal ourselves, we create new possibilities, not just for our own lives, but for everyone who comes after us. But here's where many of us get tripped up. We think we need to be fully healed before we can start building. We wait for perfect conditions, perfect clarity, perfect confidence. And in that waiting, opportunities pass us by. This brings me to Thyatira's third powerful insight. You don't have to wait until everything looks perfect to start living in purpose or building what matters. Bold pivots like stepping into entrepreneurship or leadership often begin with imperfect steps rooted in faith and authenticity. A wellness creator from Missoula shared on the Tell Us Something podcast how recognizing embodied trauma led them and their community to ground themselves through collective healing practices. After years spent ignoring their own needs due to societal pressures, they developed what they called sorry sessions. Mindfulness practices fostering connection between body, mind, and spirit as essential steps toward wholeness, not just survival. What's powerful about this example is that they didn't wait until they had everything figured out. They started where they were with what they had, addressing the needs they saw right in front of them. The result? They built supportive environments where individuals could process pain together safely and catalyze broader conversations around what true wellness means outside mainstream definitions. I realized I've been waiting for permission to heal, they shared, but that permission could only come from me. How many of us are waiting for permission, permission to rest, permission to dream, permission to build something that doesn't yet exist in the world, permission to prioritize our own healing? Thyatira's message is clear that permission can only come from you. I'm reminded of a quote from Audre Lorde. Caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. For Black women, especially, choosing ourselves is revolutionary in a world that expects us to choose everyone else first. When I asked Thyatira what she wants listeners to do differently after hearing her wisdom, her answer was beautifully direct. Choose yourself unapologetically. What would that look like for you this week? Setting aside time daily, even if it's just 5 minutes, for a true self check in that goes beyond surface level care. Identifying one area where you've been carrying silent burdens alone and reaching out for support. Taking an imperfect step towards something soul aligned, a new habit, business idea, or conversation that honors both your pain and your possibility. These aren't just self care tactics, they're strategic decisions that acknowledge the truth Thyatira has been teaching. Your well being is not separate from your success, it's the foundation of it. I'm struck by how Thytira's insights challenge the artificial boundaries we've created between personal and professional development. We've been taught to compartmentalize, to leave our personal issues at home and bring only our professional selves to work. But what if that fragmentation is precisely what's holding us back from our greatest contributions? What if, as Thytira suggests, the integration of all parts of ourselves, our struggles, our heritage, our healing journeys, is actually our competitive advantage in spaces that weren't built with us in mind? This isn't about oversharing or trauma dumping in professional settings. It's about recognizing that the wisdom you've gained through your unique journey gives you perspective that others don't have. It's about understanding that your ability to navigate complexity, to build bridges, to see opportunities where others see only obstacles, these capacities were forged in the very experiences you might have wished to avoid. As I reflect on my conversation with Thytira, I'm reminded of something Maya Angelou once said. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. The difference between encountering defeat and being defeated lies in how we metabolize our experiences, whether we allow them to diminish us or develop us. So here's my challenge to you today: stop hiding the chapters of your story that make you uncomfortable. They are not liabilities, they are your most valuable assets. Stop waiting for perfect conditions to begin your healing journey. The world needs what only your healed self can offer. And stop believing that your personal transformation is separate from your professional contribution. They are one and the same. The sacred work of becoming whole isn't just about you feeling better, though that matters profoundly. It's about creating ripple effects that transform families, communities, and systems that have been broken for generations. When you choose yourself, when you prioritize your healing, when you bring your full story to your work, you're not being selfish. You're being revolutionary. You're declaring that the ways of fragmenting ourselves to fit into broken systems are over. You're modeling what integrated leadership looks like. You're showing others what's possible. So take that imperfect step today. Share that story you've been hiding. Start that healing practice you've been postponing. Launch that project that honors both your wounds and your wisdom. The world doesn't need more people who have it all figured out. The world needs more people who are brave enough to become. Thank you.